Hooked On Fishing was brought to you by Matamata Sports World. For all your friendly advice and service, see us first. Hi, Chris Bungard helping you plan your weekends fishing. Well, a nice bit of rain around the place. If you're in the farming fraternity out there, you'd be enjoying this bit of precipitation we've had around the place over the nights. Yeah, big storm last night, thunder and lightning and all that thing. It hasn't really been enough to affect the local streams and rivers though. They're still running quite low, quite clear, and reasonable to fish over the weekend, and I think they'll be well worth having a look around, particularly in the evening as that sun drops. The evening hatch now of the old insects is happening, and there's some nice fish being caught around the place. One place I have heard exceptional stories from though is Lake Arapuni. There's been some beauties caught up there just recently, right up the top end of the lake. Now, they've listened to the show before. We've mentioned it a few weeks back there. Right at the top end, past the sticks, right up where the lake virtually narrows back into a river again, go right up below the Waipapa Dam. You can't go any further, obviously, and then fish on the way back down. Now, these guys were trolling back down as slow as the motor would go, and they were pulling black and gold tobies and the traffic light toby, and they got some beautiful fish. The best one was just under 7 pounds, so there is some good fish up there. And of course the beauty of way up there is that it's nice and sheltered, so if these westerlies and all that are coming in over the weekend, might be a lovely place to go and have a bit of a look. The sea itself should be okay out there. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Now in the Rotorua region, talking to Glenn Skinner down there, who's my trout guide in that area, he's very impressed with the way the morning harling is still happening. Better than in the evening. Change of light though, you've got to drag yourself out of bed fairly early and get out there at that change of light. He's using deep sinking fly line and a DSL line behind that, and just trolling or harling, if you like, sort of maybe 10 feet below the surface and right along the edge of the weed banks and that round the edge of Rotoweedy, and he's been catching some absolute beauty. So if you're looking at heading down to Rotorua, perhaps give that method a go. Really, these cool temperatures haven't increased the surface temperature of the lake too much, so we're not getting that thermocline happening yet, so the jigging hasn't been all that productive. It should happen over the next week or two, let's hope. We need some fine weather and some warmth in the sun just to get that happening, but at the moment, early morning harling seems to be the ticket. Similar story down in Taupo actually, but the rivers down there are holding some nice fish at the moment. The Taronga Taupo and the good old Waitanui. It's only a fairly small stream, but that is holding some nice fish at the moment. Ken Duncan, who's a really good fishing guru down in that area, I was talking to him last night and he tells me there's some nice fish in the streams down there at the moment. Now, on the lake itself as well, it's been very, very rough, of course, with those strong winds coming across there, but the Western Bay side has been fishing okay. But just be a wee bit careful because that chop can get up very nasty on that lake, and he said there was a couple of boats got into a bit of strife, so just be careful. Once again, in the Taupo region as well, early morning harling seems to be the ticket. There's a lot of smelt around at the moment. The fish are chasing them around, so get out those little smelt pattern lures or pull a smelt pattern fly in front of your lure, and that's been pretty productive. On the west coast, a lot of frustration out there at the moment. Gee, this wind is really causing some havoc. Dwayne Pinney, who runs the Clansman out from Carfi, has been very frustrated because there is some beautiful fish out there. The last trip the Dove and the Clansman had out there, they went out to 60 metres. So if you get a chance, as soon as that weather drops, get out there around about that 60 metres. They got their limit of snapper, and the best one was just under 20 pounds. So there's some absolute beauties out there at the moment. I mentioned last week, I think, that Malcolm Taylor, a local milk tanker driver around the district here, he got his first one over 20 pound last week, and it was actually 23 pounds, so an absolute beauty. Once again, well done on that one, Malcolm. Now, the Coromandel region, that's probably the best ticket over the weekend, although those westerlies are going to be coming across the Firth of Thames. They will be a wee bit scruffy, and looks Saturday they're supposed to drop down to 15 knots, and then on Sunday the wind's going to come around to the north, so I think the Coromandel will be fishable on Saturday afternoon and Sunday. Now the best at the moment seems to be the incoming tide. You've got low tide at the moment around about 9 o'clock in the morning, high tide about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, so you can get up there about 8 o'clock, fish the turn of the tide, and then that incoming tide up to high tide around about 2 o'clock. It should be a pretty good recipe for some nice fishing up there. Over the hill into the Mercury Bay region, talking to Sooty from Hinyarua, they went out from Wangmataa the other day and he got a beautiful snapper, about 18 pound, just out around about the 30 metre line off Wangmataa. So there's some nice fish out there at the moment, albeit it's fishing just on the edge of the foul. John Elwood tells me up around the Merks at the moment, the fishing's been pretty tough during the daytime, but in the evening that change of light fishing's been coming on quite good. He's been fishing the southern end of Great Mercury around Peach Grove, Tea Tree Bay, around that areas there. Now, also talking to a couple of guys during the week, Bob Beveridge, in fact, that used to live around this region here, very well known fisho. He went out to Motiti the other day and fishing on the western side of Motiti, out in the Bay of Plenty there, and they got some nice snapper right on the edge of the foul, only in about 12 metres of water, just what they call off the pines there. So if you get a chance, perhaps Motiti, Mare Island as well, along the edge of the foul, there's been some nice fish there in the evening at the change of light. It's been pretty tough during the daytime though. And off the beach at Papamoa, the longline boys with the Contikis have been doing okay. Now, if you like a new reel, well, why wouldn't you? Give us a call on 0508 647462, and Kilwell could be sending a brand new reel your way. It's a little bait runner reel. It's an absolute beauty. That number again, 0508 647462. There's been Chris Bungard helping you plan your weekend's fishing. Hooked on Fishing was brought to you by Matamata Sports World. For all your friendly advice and service, see us first.